Hi, this is Jace Gordon October. I'm here with the 10th book in the Jack Ryan John Clark series. The book I'll be talking about today, Rainbow Six. This was published by G.B. Puma & Sons in 1998. This was a really disappointing thriller novel. While I thought the idea of a elite counter-terrorist unit was interesting, along with some really interesting action set pieces that happen in this book, and some very graphic scenes too, with headshots and other moments of violence. But sadly, that was enough to save this book. I had so many issues and problems with this book. One of them, which I'll explain in my review, is that Clancy had recycled a bunch of things that I've already read in his previous books, and they're popping up in here, which I didn't like at all, along with other things, as I felt this novel could have been so much better. I was really hoping this was going to be like a really dark, edgy novel, and it wasn't. It was just like an average thriller with some stuff I've read in previous books, and there was like only a few things that made this different from the other books. But overall, I just was not impressed with this novel, and I'll explain the many issues and problems I have with this book in my review. On to the book review. Plot. Set 3 years after the events of executive orders, with the rise of terrorist and militia groups posing a threat to both North America and across Europe. While most nations have counter-terrorist units to deal with these threats, however, it's difficult if it's a larger group along with red tape of politics. In 1999, John Clark, at the age of 55, is getting old to be combating these threats, but feels something must be done about it. He proposes a new counter-terrorist unit, Rainbow Six, an elite squad of 2 teams from different parts of the world. Clark's new unit is approved by President Jack Ryan, along with other NATO countries. They set up a base in England, allowing the team to operate in an allied territory. While on a flight to London, John Clark, with his wife Sandy and son-in-law Domingo Chavez Ding, and his wife Patricia. Also with them is Alistair Stanley, a deputy commander. Suddenly, Clark notices 3 men wearing dark jackets acting strangely. He then sees 3 men whip out pistols and storm the cockpit, hijacking the plane. Both Clark and Chavez make hand signals, communicating to each other. Alistair tries to get his sidearm from his luggage bag, but the terrorist pistol whip him from reaching it. Thinking quickly, John lies he has to use the lavatory as the terrorist follows him with the pistol aimed at Clark. Clark quickly disarms the terrorist and knocks him out. Chavez disarms the second terrorist and ties him down. Clark is able to lure the 3rd terrorist member out of the cockpit by getting the waitress to use the phone, calling the captain inside the cockpit. The leader comes out. Clark quickly takes down the leader and ties him up. Clark then uses the cockpit radio to contact both the FBI along with alerting the Canadian authorities to arrest the 3 terrorists and to transport them to the U.S. Clark also orders to have a military plane pick him and his team up to reach Hereford, where Rainbow Six base is at. After landing at the military base, the terrorists are arrested and Clark's crew and his wife get on board their plane. Upon arriving at Rainbow Six HQ, security around the base is very tight. John and Chavez have their wives placed in their private rooms with guards patrolling. There are 2 teams for Rainbow Six. Team 1 is led by Major Peter Covington, a SAS commander, Mughal Mike Chin, former U.S. Navy SEAL, Mortimer Sam Houston, sniper observer, Freddie Franklin, U.S. Army Ranger and rifleman, Jeff Bates, a member of SAS. Team 2, led by Chavez, his unit is made up of Juno Oso Vega, a Delta Force member and friend of Chavez, Eddie Price, SAS Sergeant Major and Deputy Commander, Louis Rizal, French Specialist of DGSE, George Tomlinson, Delta Force member, Mike Pierce, 82 2nd Airborne Division, Steve Lincoln, Delta Force member, Scotty McTyler, SAS member, Hank Patterson, Delta Force, Patty Connolly, demolition expert for SAS, Homer Johnston, Delta Force sniper, Diver Weber, sniper for GSG-9, a German counter-terrorist unit. Clark holds in a meeting with all members of Rainbow Six, explaining they be handling the worst terrorists and militia groups along with dealing with high-risk hostage situations and must be ready to act when they're called into action. However, the base isn't fully ready yet, which Clark is annoyed and demands whatever they need brought here and gets this base fully set up as they can't afford any setbacks as terror could strike at any moment within the world. In the meantime, Jarvis keeps the team busy with training. After 3 weeks of training, Clark gets the call he's been waiting for. A team on the second floor who monitors different news stations gets a report of a bank robbery gone awry in Bern, Switzerland, which has turned into a hostage situation, and it isn't long until one of the hostages is killed. After Clark is given the order to send his team in, he calls Jarvis, telling him to get Team 2 ready as helicopters are on their way. But as Jarvis and Team 2 reach Gatwick with awaiting cargo plane, there's nearly a delay until the Swiss government gives the go-ahead to send in Rainbow Six to handle the hostage situation. Jarvis is told that 4 gunmen are inside the bank armed with CZ Model 58s and demand a transport take them to the airport with a plane fully fueled and ready to go. The Swiss government and police task force allow Rainbow Six to take over. Upon reaching the bank, Weber readies his Walter W2000 sniper rifle while Johnston has a custom-made Remington bolt-action sniper. Jarvis goes over the layout of the bank with Tim Noonan hacking into security cameras, allowing them to see where the 4 gunmen are. Jarvis has the team split into 2 groups, one going through the back and the other going through the front. They move in just as the leader is about to execute another hostage as they toss in a flashbangs. All 3 robbers are shot as the last guy kills himself. Both Jarvis and Clark are pleased with their first mission went well. Clark has the team continue their training while making improvements to Team 2. However, Jarvis dislikes the computer findings as it's unable to recreate their training exercises and disagrees with its results of their tests. Several weeks later, Jarvis and Team 2 are called in Austria when Herr Osterman, a wealthy business broker, finds himself and his staff held hostage by a German left-wing group, Red Workers Faction. With police unable to do anything, Rainbow Six takes command of the situation. The large mansion has too many rooms to go through as it's heavily patrolled by 6 terrorist members. The leader demands the release of several prisoners along with a plane ready to go and to use Oscarman's private helicopter to take them to the airport. After going over the blueprints of the mansion along with the background check on the terrorist leaders, Jarvis plans to wait near nightfall to allow his men into the backyard using the darkness as cover, then fool the terrorists that their demands have been met and execute them once both his snipers and other Rainbow Six members can strike. Inside, Osterman tries keeping the terrorists calm while his staff serve them food, but are becoming impatient. Just as it's nearly midnight, Jarvis tells the officer to call the terrorist leader and to let him know they have agreed to their demands and have a pilot to fly the helicopter. As the terrorists are walking out the back of the mansion towards the landing pad, Jarvis is told by one of his riflemen that the helicopter doesn't have enough room for the hostages as he fears they'll kill one of them. He orders both of the snipers and his men to move in when they have the clearest shot. Both snipers take out their targets with headshots, causing brain matter and blood to splatter in the air, while the other Rainbow Six members move in with their silenced MP-10s and machine guns, taking down all the terrorist members with no casualties. However, Clark isn't pleased how the mission went and feared it could have ended badly. Travis explains why he chose to take out the terrorists by shooting them at the helicopter was the only way to get all of them out, and knew the risk. Clark plans to get Rainbow Six its own personal helicopter and pilot to add an extra member to the team, but is baffled with the sudden increase of terrorists lately. Meanwhile, billionaire chairman of Horizon Corporation is plotting a deadly viral outbreak known as the Project. He plans to terminate all human life on Earth after being disgusted with mankind and the effects it has on Mother Nature, only keeping the chosen alive to reclaim their planet back. With him is a team of researchers and survivalist types. Dr. John Gorkill, the senior researcher, Barbara Archer, researcher of the deadly viruses, Steve Burke, tasked with creating the Sarva virus along with a cure, Kevin Mayflower, a radical environmentalist and drama queen. Also with them are several members of U.S. Army and politic members secretly working against our own government while kidnapping homeless people and using them as human test subjects for the virus. Then Rainbow Six is called in for its most high-stakes mission yet. A Spanish and French terrorist group have disguised themselves as security guards, taking over a history-themed amusement park, Rural Park. They fire their Uzis into the air and force the parents away from their children and hold them hostage inside a castle. The security evacuates the whole park, locking it down with police surrounding the area while set up roadblocks to keep the press out. Their demands are the release of several prisoners in Paris, including Relich Ramirez Sanchez, or known by his codename Carlos the Jackal, one of the most wanted terrorists during the 70s and 80s. And if the terrorist demands are not met within the hour, they'll execute a child. The Spanish police are unable to handle the situation. The government tries getting the French Foreign Legion, but are unable to. The call is made to Rainbow Six to handle this risky mission. Upon arriving, Clark goes over the map and layout of Rural Park, then dispatches his team to move as close as possible to the terrorists without being seen. In an attempt to try to get the terrorists out, Clark orders the lights to be shut off in the castle, which annoys the leader, known as Mr. One. After refusing to put the lights back on, Mr. One orders a disabled Dutch girl to be executed. She is brought outside of the castle with Johnston, tries to get a shot, but is too late as the terrorist executes the girl by shooting her through the back with a pistol. Furious, Clark orders the lights back on. After studying the layout of the castle, an engineer is brought in and points out a weakness with the castle windows. Chavez and his team plan to strike the terrorists once they're lured out, then finish off the remaining terrorist members inside the castle by fooling Mr. One. Their demands have been met. As Mr. One begins setting out the children with armed men, Clark gives the order to move in. Chavez and his men take out the terrorists quickly and move in towards the castle, breaking the windows and tossing flashbangs inside. They then swarming inside as they quickly shoot the remaining terrorist members. Johnston kills the last terrorist member who murdered the girl by shooting him in the side to ensure he dies a slow yet painful death. While both the French and Spanish government are pleased with Rainbow Six, however, both Clark and Chavez aren't happy with what happened to the disabled girl. While Clark is trying to figure out if these terrorist groups are acting alone or part of a bigger plot, at the same time, a ex-KGB agent, Dmitry Arkadievich Popov, who's been funding these terror attacks, has been watching closely on Rainbow Six and using his connections, and those working against the U.S. government are able to find some data on Clark's anti-terrorist unit. However, as Popov is plotting to take out Rainbow Six, he makes a serious mistake, which Ed Foley and Mary Pat Foley are able to track his phone call within London. When Clark and FBI Director Dan Murray learn of this leak, they realize someone is passing off information. While Dan launches an investigation who's working against them, Clark plans to go after Popov and his Russian agents, but Popov is one step ahead of Clark. Rainbow Six is about to face its most threatening mission ever when they learn of the project and its radical environmentalist group is plotting, as its members have no remorse for human life and will do anything to ensure the project succeeds. Not only that, but when Clark and Chavez's wives are held by a group of ex-IRA members, the stakes have risen. Both the lives of those they love and care for, along with the rest of the world, are in danger. Can Rainbow Six prevent a doomsday event from happening? The clock is ticking. Rainbow Six was an average thriller with some interesting ideas but not well executed. While I like the idea of creating an elite counter-terrorist unit to take on high-stakes situations with John Clark commanding the team with Chavez leading it, however, the hostage scenes I felt were either too easy or not well thought out. Such as the World Park scene where all the terrorists are held in one place with no patrols, allowing Rainbow Six to easily defeat them. Also, Clark makes a terrible decision which cost the life of one of the hostages, which made me facepalm. I felt glad he didn't put enough thought into the hostage and terrorist scenes, which he could have created some really intense challenges for Rainbow Six to face each time they were called in. Also, they didn't have their own helicopter until their second mission, nor their own planes, as they have to keep borrowing the British and American vehicles. It took Clark 3 weeks to get his anti-terrorist unit formed, and it never crossed his mind to have his own vehicles for his team to use. And during the start of the novel, Clark and Chavez are flying on a commercial airliner when it's hijacked. Again, why don't these guys have their own private plane or helicopter? While we get to know some of the Rainbow Six members, but Clancy doesn't use their names a lot, and I wish he did, so I would know who's doing what in the story, along with giving the characters more detail to both their backgrounds and personality. Despite having some good action and gore scenes with a dangerous environmentalist group with a cast of despicable villains, but what I really didn't like was seeing Clancy recycle things from previous novels that I've already seen, which become boring rereading these scenes again. From people digging into Clark's background along with his task force, which was done in Some of All Fears, to engineering a virus to unleash onto civilians from executive orders, and of course people secretly working against their own government. And how many times does Clancy have to bring up James Bond? Can he please stop already, or pick some other action heroes to talk about? There were also moments where it gets slow with not much happening, with lots of talking and becoming apparent, which I did enjoy reading these scenes. One character who's being used as a human test subject fears that something awful is happening to her, doesn't try to escape, and doesn't even speak back against those holding her against her will. There were a few moments where I felt it could have been done better, along with ending it much sooner than dragging out the ending, and deliver a better finale with Rainbow Six against the villains. Had Clancy put more thought into the plot, made several changes to it, along with making it more intense with the terrorist and hostage scenes, not recycling things from his other novels, and done something different with the environmentalist group, or just have Rainbow Six face against terrorists and militia groups, would have been better. And increase the action and violence more to make it more darker too. Overall, I don't recommend Rainbow Six, while some might like it more than I did. However, if you're expecting something different from this novel, don't. It's the same as Clancy's previous novels. You can find more frills in his other novels or from another author. Alright, that's our review today. Hope you enjoy it. Yeah, as I said, I did not like Rainbow Six at all. So I'm just going to get with the main problem that I have with this book. I was really annoyed seeing Clancy recycle things that I've already read in his previous books, like having people digging around Clark's background and the counter-terrorist unit he creates, which was done in the Some of the Fears, when you had Elliot snooping around looking into Jack Ryan's past and learning about the things he did, and also Executive Orders 2. And a bunch of people working on a deadly virus, which was already done in Executive Orders. As I'm reading this, I thought, Clancy, you couldn't think of anything like different. You had to just copy and paste what you've already written in your previous books. Like, do something different here. Like, one of the ideas I was thinking that he could have done with the environmentalist group was have them destroy things they feel are a threat to mankind. That would have been different. Like, having these people, like, going around the world and just causing destruction to try to send the human race back to the Dark Ages, or as one person described as reliving the West again. I thought, do that instead. Drop the whole virus thing. You've already done that before. And this other scene that bugged me was one part. There's this woman that fears that something bad is happening to her, and she tries to send out help by accessing a computer, but when she's caught, of course, she doesn't speak out against being held there. She just goes along with it. And I'm like, if I woke up with no memory in a mysterious lab and a bunch of doctors are performing on me, and one of them happens to have the name Dr. Gorkill, I'm getting the hell out of there. I'm not going to trust someone with a name like that. As I just felt these people that are being used as test subjects, I thought, is anyone going to speak out? Is anyone going to try to escape? No, they're all just fine being used as guinea pigs. Well, they don't really know what's going on, but I thought you would think that one of these people would get in their heads, something's not right here. I should get the hell out of here. Oh yeah, and then this other scene I didn't like right at the beginning of the book, Clancy just froze this scene where John Clark and Chavez are on a plane. All of a sudden, it's hijacked by terrorists, and I'm thinking to myself, what, these guys can't fly their own private plane? They have to use a commercial airliner to reach England? I thought these guys should have their own private plane, and I just felt it was kind of like having something happen right at the start of the book to kind of get things going already. It just felt kind of rushed with that scene. Yeah, as I said, there's a lot of When there's no action, there's a lot of talking in the book, which I found some of these conversation scenes kind of boring. And there was actually one part where uh, Chavez becomes a father. He's all excited and he's talking about the joys of being a parent, and now Clark's gonna be the grandfather. And I was just like, oh, please just get back to the story. I'm not interested in this. I'm not interested in these like family scenes. Like this is like a common cliche I'm starting to see in a lot of books now, where characters have families. They get all excited. It's like I've already seen that. Please, not here. Some of the terror scenes I thought could have been done better. Like the first two were okay, but the third terrorist scene I felt could have been done a lot better. So these terrorist members show up at this like historical theme park known as World Park, and I was like, you couldn't come up with a better name, World Park, really? And it had some parts that I felt were kind of goofy, like so it's got all these different sections that are like related to history and stuff. Like there's I believe there's one area that's like related to ancient Egypt, and then there's another related area that's the ancient Roman Empire. Then this one ride I thought was just absolutely goofy. Then it's got this like World War II era section, and it has this ride that kids can go on, the Stuker ride. They can fly like this mechanical Stuker fin. I thought, really, you're gonna put that in there, Clancy? I just find myself how much better this would have been if he changed the setting to Disneyland. Sadly, doesn't do that though. But so when these terrorist members show up, I really felt this scene could have been so much darker. As the terrorists show up, they fire their guns into the air and they scare the people away. And they take the kids and held them in a castle. I thought, come on, you can be a lot more darker than this. Have the terrorists execute a bunch of people at the amusement park, then grab people hostage to bring them into the castle. That would have been better. And they're all held within one place. And I was thinking to myself, wouldn't these guys have patrols to ensure nobody gets near them and stuff? That would make it more intense, because if they had patrols in the area, they would make it more difficult for Rainbow Six to get closer to them. So I wish Clancy did that. And this is a scene where I facepalmed, where as soon as Rainbow Six shows up and they're told the situation stuff, what's the very first thing Clark decides to do for this terror situation? Let's cut the power to the castle where all the terrorist members are in. And this, of course, leads to the death of one of the hostages. And I just facepalmed and said aloud, Clark, what the hell were you thinking? What did you expect was going to happen when you cut the power to the castle? Did you think the terrorists were like, oh, you cut the power, how amusing? I don't know what the hell he was thinking when he did that. It was just, that was like one stupid part that Clark did, which has a very bad consequence, of course. So yeah, I just thought the whole third terrorist act scene could have been done a lot better. It could have been a lot more violent and shocking and a lot more intense. As that's the one issue I was having with these books. Like these terrorist situations, they were like kind of like almost walk in a park for Rainbow Six. Like they easily defeat these guys, and they have and face like very little challenges. And I was thinking to myself, Clancy could have really brainstormed some really intense terrorist hostage situations. Like I was like, as I'm reading this, I'm already thinking of like ideas what Rainbow Six he could be going up against, and the many challenges and difficulties they'll be facing, stuff like around the world and stuff. That would be, in my opinion, a more interesting novel. Like have a whole book about where this elite terrorist unit takes on both terrorists and militia groups. That would have been interesting, and then have a bigger plot point revealed later on in the story would have been interesting too. Yeah, so I was starting to wonder if these like terrorist situations were part of the main plot, but no, it's a subplot. So the main plot is this whole viral outbreak with this environmentalist group, and I thought like, again, like I said, I have already read this in executive orders with a bunch of people, terrorists working on a virus to release to civilians and stuff, and I just wish Clancy just had something else instead. Like, if he wanted to add the environmentalist group, have them blowing stuff up and like trying to send the human race back to the Dark Ages, not this create a virus and stuff. I will say that the villains in the book are absolutely despicable, especially these environmentalist groups. Like they're just like these extreme evil people that have no care for anyone but themselves, and they are completely washed up in the things they believed in. As these people have no remorse for human life other than themselves, and they think that protecting Earth is more important to them than the lives of everyone else. So I will say, Clancy did create some despicable characters. There was a scene that actually had me laughing towards the end of the book. There's a part where the Russian guy is staying at this place that where these environmentalist group is, and he when the Russian learns of what's going on, he decides he wants nothing to do with this and plans to escape, and he kills one of the members part of the project off and escapes. And then later on in the story, there's a part where John Gorkill, what a fucking name. Anyway, Gorkill notices some vultures, and he thinks, oh, they must be eating some animal that died off. But then he decides to go check it out, and he's horrified to find one of the members dead. And Ilya says, oh my god, Foster, are you okay? And I just burst out into laughing. I was like, what the hell are you expecting to happen? Are you expecting Foster to groan and turn his head over? It's like, oh, Gorkill, the Russian bastard shot me. I've been left out here to bleed to death, and these damn vultures are pecking me. Half my face is torn off. I'm missing an eyeball. Help me. And that's just burst into laughter, thinking that was what this guy was expecting. I guess that was just me getting so bored. Just wanted to find something amusing. Found a funny part in this book to laugh at, but so then towards the end, John Clark finds out about this environmentalist group, and he quickly sends his Rainbow Six team to dispatch them. However, Clancy decides to stretch out the ending way too long, and I felt he could have ended sooner, and I was like, Clancy, you could have ended it right here. You could have put a big finale right here at the facility where the Horizon Corporation is stationed at. You could have ended it right here. Nope, he decides to stretch out the ending a little longer, which I didn't like, and a bunch of other things that happened that I just didn't like the finale. And I was like, really, you're gonna end it like this? I just felt, come on, Clancy, come on, Clancy. This is John Clark. This guy will not hesitate to kill evil people and stuff, and you're just gonna. I'm not going to give away the ending, but but the way he ended it just really annoyed me. It's like, come on, like, stop with this whole right from wrong thing. I really got annoyed with that. And there's a part where the villains are talking about getting like the best lawyers they can find to defend. And I thought, who the hell is going to defend these sickos and their twisted plan? Oh yeah, I'm sure the judge is going to find empathy for these terrorist members that were plotting to release a deadly virus onto the whole human race and stuff, and somehow is going to quit them of all charges or something lesser to that. I thought, get out of here. So I just felt that if Clancy hadn't recycled things from his previous books, done something different with this novel, I felt that he could have done this novel two ways. He could have had the whole book about Rainbow Six taking on deadly terrorists and militia groups, or he could add the environmentalist group a part of the story, but done it differently. This would have been a much better book, and I would have liked it if he had scenes with the other Rainbow Six members kind of talking with each other, and we get to know them and stuff, and cut some of the there's a lot of talking scenes between Clark and Chavez, and I wish he just cut down a bit on that, because these are characters I already know. I already know of. I'd like to see more of the other characters. I just felt if Clancy did that instead, this would have been a much better book. I was reading some trivia on Rainbow Six. Apparently, Clancy was going to originally call it Rainbow 8 because technically it's 8 members, but he decided to go with 6 because Rainbow 8 didn't roll off the tongue that well, and apparently he was already working on a book about a team that takes on terrorist/hostage situations, and then a friend of his suggested some ideas, which became this book. I just kind of wish that maybe Clancy got some of his friends and stuff, and they could have planned out terrorist and hostage situations that could have played a role in the book. It would have made it a lot better. So yeah, overall, Rainbow Six was an average thriller. Some might like it. If you just want something to read, you might find it entertaining. But If you want something different, then I would suggest read one of Clancy's other books, or find just something else better than this. Because um, if you're like if you're reading this and you're expecting something like something different from Clancy's other books, and you notice this, scenes that Clancy has, or things Clancy has already talked about in his other books, it just kind of feels boring rereading these against. Like, come on, like do something different here. So it's up to you if you want to read this book, but overall, I would say pass on it. All right, that's it for the review. That's for the review today. Hope you enjoyed it. And for the next book in the series, The Bear and the Dragon. This is the second longest book in the Jack Ryan John Clark series, as this is over 1,000 pages long. So I'll be reading 300 pages a day to get through this massive brick. Alright, that's our review today. Hope you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to October Library, the channel where I post book reviews, book hauls, and our fiction-like content. Until then, I'll catch you later.